And welcome to another episode of here. We got 3 days in a row here. We got March Madness. Today we have the Elite Eight. We got a couple people that were crowned to the Final Four today. Again, I got Chris with me. I got Casey Breyer from Fat Boy Fadeaway. We're here with you on Variety Sports Net Collegiate. I also got my son, big star here yesterday, Xavier Breyer. Even though I keep rubbing it in his face that his Musketeers did go down a little bit yesterday. But and what was your second favorite team you said? Gonzaga. We'll get into them going down as well. So a bit of a tough week here for the little man, but we got a lot to get into here. It looks like maybe we got Susie coming in as well here on the podcast. Susie, are you with us?
I'm here. I just look like a hot piece of garbage, so you can just hear my lovely voice.
That's all right. We got your voice here. So we got Susie here. We got Casey. We got Chris. We got my son Xavier. We got a packed house here. We got a couple games to go over here with the Elite Eight. Like I said, we'll kind of roll through it here in about 20 minutes, kind of get you set for tomorrow's games as well. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, better than I deserve. Let's put it that way.
They're doing better out there. As Susie, how are we doing over there? How are we doing? Getting closer to the baseball season. I heard on the thing you were a basketball fan as well. It's good to hear. How are we doing over there?
I don't know if I'd consider myself an actual basketball fan. I know about the basketballs. So now I'm just super interested in all of the reactions of all the upsets. That's just really what I was interested in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there were some good ones this year. That's to me one of the big things about this whole tournament is about how good, Casey, the games have been. We talked about that a few times leading up to the Sweet 16 and this round going into it. The games have been good. Yeah, we had a blowout here today with Gonzaga in there, but we're going to get into a good game as well here with Florida Atlantic and Kansas State. The tournament's been really good. Why don't we start there with tonight at Madison Square Garden? Can you ask for more? That's where a lot of people say it's the epic or the start of basketball. Out here in the Bay Area, we might disagree with that a little bit, but that's where it is. New York. Casey, your thoughts right away with that game? Let's go to that one before we get to Gonzaga. I just feel like that game deserves a little bit more. That deserves the starting point of this podcast. You called it. You had them reaching the Final Four, Florida Atlantic, because of their guard play being too athletic. They pull it off against Nowell and Kansas State. Your thoughts here on that game, sir?
Phenomenal game. Definitely high intensity, very back and forth. Every time you thought one team was going to pull ahead, they got up by 6 or 7. They came right back and hit a 3 and another 3. And it was just like the game never got away from them. And, they just – FAU, man, they got a whole squad of people that can just put that ball in the bucket, man. It's not one guy. It's multiple guys. Elijah Martin started off with a pretty nasty dunk to start the game. And that kind of set the tone. And then Kansas State, man, to their credit, man, they played their ass off too. Nowell tried. 30 points, 12 assists. Keontae Johnson, their second-best player, got in foul trouble, so that really hurt him. But, it was a great game. The Mecca lived up to the hype.
What did you think of Nowell there today, Chris? He still had a pretty good game there at 30 points and 12 assists. Yeah, maybe not a 19-point performance, but he played well. Kansas State, they got in foul trouble. Johnson got in foul trouble there a little bit. They had a couple other guys that got deep into foul trouble. I don't know. The crowd seemed like they wanted Nowell there to take over at the beginning, but to Florida Atlantic's credit, I feel like they won that crowd over, and that's kind of not an easy thing to do in New York. I thought they did that though tonight.
Yeah, that's a tough task to win over that crowd. Nowell did get the East Regional Most Outstanding Player Award, and rightfully so. He had 93 points and 52 assists in the 4 games that he played in. That's just remarkable. I don't think those numbers have ever been duplicated in a NCAA tournament. And I'm even going to go as far as no matter who wins the national title, I think Marquise Nowell should be the most outstanding player of the entire tournament.
Hey, Susie, have you been able to watch much of Kansas State? As I tell my son, it's the purple two, or the Wildcats, as he's grinning over here. You been able to watch any of that Nowell guy for Kansas State?
No. The only basketball that I am actually consuming is via Twitter. So all I get are just like the best parts and all of the upsets.
Well, we'll tell you this. This guy's about the size of my son, and he's been dominating over there with.
That's awesome.
He had to stay over there. He had a good game, like we said. He put up crazy stats this year with it. Case. I don't know. What's your kind of? Let's go to. Hold on, real quick. Let me go to it. What does mom say the most important part of basketball is? You got to be able to make your what? You got
free throws.
Make your free throws. You got to be able to make your free throws. And today that was a big part of the game as well. Our guy Michael Forrester at the end case made his free throws. He didn't make it dramatic like the Gonzaga UCLA game, throwing up bricks there at the end. What do you got to do again? Make your damn free throws. That's the key to success. So I thought, Casey, that was a big part of it as well.
Yeah, it was kind of fitting too that Forrest, he was the first recruit the coach actually had, and to see him, come through in the clutch and push them into the Final Four is pretty special. And he only had 2 points walking into those Final Four free throws, so ice in the veins to knock both those, all four of them down. So, and he made it look easy, nothing but net. So, yeah, it was just a phenomenal game. Chris kind of talked on it. The reffing was a little iffy at sometimes. It was just a little all over the place, and apparently he had a good relationship.
That's college officiating, man, in general, right? It's so bad. It's so bad.
I don't think anybody can get as bad as what Doug Shows is. And if you know an official's name,
you know his name, yeah.
You know it's a problem.
We used to play in our rec league. We used to call this guy Silver Fox. That was our nickname for him. We know a guy. Whenever you name a ref, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, So I was trying to think, like with Florida Atlantic case, like Susie here's baseball, does the baseball stuff. They're kind of remind me, what's kind of a baseball example of this team right here making a run to the Final Four a little bit, Florida Atlantic.
Is this like the Guardians winning?
It'd be like the Guardians winning, I guess. Maybe they're A's.
Okay. If you want to take it college baseball route, this is your Coastal Carolina Chanticleers winning the College World Series.
That's a good one. Yeah, I'll take it even more as local. We'll go Fresno State from about, that was a while back there. Fresno State pulled it off a few years back. So yeah, we'll get some upsets there like that. That's kind of what this is, a 9 seed. They're not the lowest seed to make it. Loyola Chicago with what was it? Mary Septon. Was it Mary Jane? I know that. It wasn't her, but we got somebody else. She was out there with it. What's her name? She was there. And they made it as an 11 seed. We have a 9 seed. I guess my question now is, Case, is there a point now where let's just go to it right now? Maybe is our question of the week here, brought to you by Rowan Brand. I don't know, is it now we're high seeds? It's not going to be uncommon for them to make the Final Four. Is basketball and college getting a little bit more even in that regard?
I mean, it's still a phenomenal task, especially coming from a Conference USA, and it's not Duke or Kansas, but I think you'll see it a little bit more now. But especially just the parity now. There's so many good levels of basketball. I mean, it's just a global game now. So you got a lot of guys that are playing college, and now you can't go straight to high school. You can go to the G League, but a lot of guys, they're getting recognition going to college. So that's the way to kind of launch their careers. And now with the NIL, get money. So now you can go really anywhere you want, And so, yeah, I think you'll see it more often now, but I still think it's a big deal, though.
Yeah. What do you think there, Chris?
So I want to take this a little bit deeper and in a different direction. I think it's going to benefit the lower seeds now, because typically your lower seeds are coming from the Conference USA, the smaller conferences, the Big West, teams that don't normally get there.
Yeah,
they're benefiting from the transfer portal, where you're a 4-star and you're going into some place and you're sitting on the bench, you're not happy, you're transferring. FAU's loaded down with transfers. In the NIT, you got 2 teams from Conference USA that are loaded with transfers that are in their Final Four. And I think it's going to be very common now that the lower seeds are going to make these runs and get into the Final Four, just because they're benefiting from the portal and guys that aren't happy at the bigger name schools.
And it's pretty remarkable to think about when Gonzaga first started making these tournaments. They were the Cinderella team. They were coming out of the whack, and now it's whether it's 8 straight, something 23 years Mark Few's been doing this. They made the tournament every year. It's pretty incredible, man. But just it's.
What do you think about Mark Few? Somebody said that I got into something on Twitter today about that today. This guy we've talked about before. He's coached basketball, I can tell, and he was saying I've always thought when we talked about I think Mark Few's a pretty good coach, but he hasn't been able to win the championship yet. I don't know. I know he's had some bad losses in the tournament, but he's also had some good runs in the tournament with maybe teams that haven't. It should have gone so far. I guess the thing with this guy was saying is he's pretty overrated. What do you guys think of that? I don't think he is.
If you get to the tournament 23 straight years, you're not overrated as a coach, whether you win the championship or not. I don't see where.
I feel like it's hard to win it. Jim Boeheim won it one time in 47 years.
And he's a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. I don't know. I just feel like it's like that can't be underappreciated. I go back to baseball, and it's funny, Susie. I think of like Dusty Baker, even like somebody like that beat around for so long. It doesn't mean he was a crappy manager because he didn't win a World Series. Maybe he made some mistakes or something like that. But I don't know. I think that part was it's kind of good for him to be able to get that respect in that regard. That's the reason I want him to win a championship, because I don't feel like he should have to earn it so much like that. Any thoughts on that, Susie, with like maybe a manager having to, or a coach in this regard for basketball having to, even though he's had success and just, just comes up a little short, that doesn't make him a bad coach necessarily.
Right. Well, so my question always was when people were saying, oh, this manager or this coach hasn't won, blah, blah, blah. Before I got into sports and understood the psychology behind it, I'm like, yeah, but they got to have the players to do the things. So I don't understand why everyone's saying, oh, this coach hasn't won, this coach. And I'm like, because maybe their players didn't perform the way that they needed to. So I was a little confused. But now that I see that the different coaching, managing styles that some people have, I'm like, oh, okay. So you need your players to invest and want to win more than just for themselves. Like, you want them to win for that coach or for that manager and have that extra little like push, I guess.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes total sense. And I was listening to Jay Wright, who coached Villanova. He just retired. He just kind of finished retiring. He's doing the broadcast now for CBS. And he was saying about the grind and how much it takes out of you year to year. I mean, these guys put more than just a little bit of time into it. It's like it's a CEO job, so they're with it all the time. Speaking of coaching, Xavier, how did I do this year coaching your team? Good. Well, there you go. What of that? Would you say I did? Was I under control like Mark Few? No. Okay. Well, maybe we have some issues here. I need to go over. We might have to leave the podcast here a little bit. Casey, you have to take over for a minute on here.
No ice cream tonight.
Well, would you say is my coaching style fast, or do we play defense a little bit more? Defense. A little bit more defense. That's good. That's what Gonzaga needed tonight. They gave up 74 freaking points. So let's move to that game here. Good transition. You're getting better at this. I like that. Nice job, son. All right, so let's go. We go over here to they got Gonzaga, UConn. Gonzaga crushes them, man. They just wax them. Casey, no chance. UConn finds a way. They just always do. Remember Michigan State? They squeak their way into these things every year. Now they have a chance at their 5th championship since 1999. This team is now becoming one of the – it's better than Duke. This team has sneakily has become one of the more hated teams in my life when it comes to sports in some regards. Maybe we can add our friend Nick to that regard, those Huskies. Your brother was rooting for the Huskies today, so I know Xavier was disappointed about that. But your thoughts, Case, on the Huskies just beating down Gonzaga and wiping out Tim A for the final game.
Well, I mean, it was only a 7-point game at halftime, which isn't really unfathomable. It's not. I mean, UConn hit a 3 at the end of the half, so it was really almost like a 4-point game. And man, whatever speech was given or not given in that second half on each side of the teams, man, UConn could not miss and Gonzaga could not throw the ball into the ocean, man. Jeez, it was brutal to watch. I mean, don't get me wrong, UConn played some pretty tenacious defense, but Gonzaga is the highest scoring team in the country. And they score over 80 points a game, and man, they weren't even halfway close to that. Almost, it was just I know Timmy getting in foul trouble definitely hurt them, but even then, I don't think it really would have mattered. Hawkins was just lights out for UConn, and Sanagu, the big guy, he was just controlling the paint. So it was just a thorough butt whipping there.
I was thoroughly disappointed, Chris, in Gonzaga tonight. I mean, I just was expecting a lot more.
So my take on Gonzaga is they didn't have the target on their back like they have the past couple of years. And typically when they don't have a target, that's when Mark Few does his best coaching and gets the most out of his team. When you go into halftime and you're only down 7, probably should have been only down 4. You got to feel good about your chances at that point. Whatever happened at halftime, incredible coaching job by UConn.
Yeah.
They just controlled the entire second half. 5 minutes in, and it's 21-5 in the second half. You're thinking, what happened here? Because this is not what I saw in the first half. So great job by UConn in the second half to take control and just eliminate any chance that Gonzaga had.
Yeah, I just thought that the thing with UConn too, that to me, Casey, just makes such a difference is that their bigs were they're bigger than Timmy, and they were more active, and they were able to make things a little bit more difficult. He got into foul trouble, and at that point, Gonzaga just wasn't getting anything from the perimeter guys. It's almost like the UCLA game just took something out of them in some weird way.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case. I just think
it just felt like that watching it, right? Like it felt like that, like coming off this big kind of game versus UCLA. It just, I don't know. They weren't there all game. I don't have to say they didn't wake up. It was, I mean, there was nothing about them today that was good. If I was Mark Few, you'd have to be highly disappointed going out like that in his last game of the year, despite the big win against UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to see effort put all the way throughout for the full 40 minutes. And it seemed like once when Chris was saying that 21-5 run, they were done. You could tell they were shell-shocked. It was just what hit us kind of, we thought we were the better team. And UConn, like I said, they were ranked number 1 earlier in the year. They're a pretty damn good basketball team. I mean, and they've been on a run, and they got kind of that perfect college mix of players. They got one big guy who's pretty athletic. And then they just got a bunch of, Hawkins is a lights out shooter. And then you got a little, it's when you got a perimeter, they play collectively as a team, which is, they trust each other. And you can tell that just playing the Big East tournament, going into that, they just seem real confident.
I feel, and Dan Hurley now has a little edge over his brother. He had the playing edge, though. He's got the coaching edge we got a Casey, me and you as the brotherly rival there. You got to keep it going. That having a brother, right? You always got to have a leg up on somebody. You got to be able to rub it in their face of somebody.
It can't be a rival until you start winning, though, right?
That's true. I'm sure they still remember who goes the farthest, though, in that regard. All right, hey, let's go to the thing here. Let's go to row one. I like this question here for tomorrow. Let's move on to tomorrow's games. So brought to you here by Row One Brand. Use the code VSP15. You'll get 15% off anything in the art gallery. Get yourself that Xavier hat we were talking about, right? That Xavier poster. But they don't know if they do Space Jam. They do Space Jam. This man's addicted to Space Jam, so they got that. Well, they'll have it too over there. So we got Miami, Texas, Creighton, San Diego State. Chris, what game do you want Row One seats for tomorrow?
I want Creighton, and that's a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up, I grew up in Southwest Iowa, and I got to enjoy watching Willis Reed coaching the Creighton Blue Jays, them being a NCAA tournament team just about every year of my childhood. So I'm wanting seats for Creighton and San Diego State tomorrow just because of the personal touch there.
I like that. Susie, you might not have a personal feel. Let me give you a location. Maybe one of the locations makes you want to visit. I don't know if you'll be too excited with these, but they got one of the games are in Kansas City. The other one's in Louisville, Kentucky. We got Miami. We got Miami versus Texas, and we got San Diego State versus Creighton. What game you want seats for there?
Well, if I had to choose, it would probably have to be the Longhorns.
There you go.
So go Texas, especially since UH got knocked out. So I would probably have to say keeping with the state pride. Let's go Horns.
See, now she brings up Texas on me, and I have a tie to Texas too because one of their star players, Dylan Dessou, was one of the first recruits signed by Jerry Stackhouse at Vanderbilt, and he transferred to Texas.
Oh, okay then.
So I got a personal tie there too.
Chris, can you help? You got a little information here on Andre Jackson? You think he's gonna get drafted?
Maybe. There's a chance. And anytime there's a chance, anything can happen.
Well, yeah, that's my favorite movie. You got Dumb and Dumber there for a reason. That's my life there in that regard there. With it, Case, what do you want seats there for? You got Miami, Texas. Which one do you kind of want seats for?
Probably San Diego State. See if there's another upset brewing here. I don't know.
West Coast flavor there.
Yeah, a little bit. They're the last ones left from our side of the woods over here in California. So I'm gonna pull for San Diego State, and hopefully it's a hell of a game, man. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to all these games, really, dude. Been nothing
okay. Nice. So let me ask Casey this question. Does the effort that San Diego State had to play with to knock off Alabama affect them going forward into this game with Creighton? Are they going to have enough in their legs to get it done?
I don't think so. I think Creighton's a better team, but San Diego, they're really scrappy. They play as hard nosed as you can get, blue collar type of defense. Everyone hits the floors. It's just I think it'll be a little much. Creighton's got some pretty damn good guards. Number 6, I can't remember his name, but yeah, they got a good squad, and they got the big man too. So it's gonna be San Diego State. I mean, I could see if they're gonna win, they're gonna have to keep it in the, I'd say, high 50s, low 60s to pull that off.
San Diego State, I'm not worried about their legs, man. Those guys got the biggest shoulders in the league. Those guys are lifting weights like it's nothing over there. Those guys are in good shape over there. I don't think they have to worry about a thing. So I think for me, the game I'd want to be interested in seeing for me is Texas as well versus Miami of Florida. I just feel like Texas looked really good against Xavier. Really good against Xavier. And then I got Miami of Florida coming. And Miami's look really good too. And I like the coaching matchup there. He's got good dance moves in the locker room. I like his energy that he's bringing there. You know what I mean? I just like the energy of those teams. So I feel like that's the matchup I would want row 1 for with it. I guess let's go to our picks. Who do you guys like in that matchup there, Texas, Florida? Who are you taking, Case?
I really don't want to take Texas, but I think they're going to do it. And then, I told you guys earlier, they got their football already, so I don't want to have both.
We wanted Alabama to lose for that reason, though.
Yeah. Probably Texas, and then I think Creighton's going to pull it off too.
Susie, you go to Texas as well, I'm assuming?
Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns. How far away are you from the campus, by chance?
Austin from here is about 3.5, 4 hours. Depends on if you go on the back roads and.
Yeah. Is that the biggest school even that far away? Are there other schools that get more dominant in the Texas area, like college-wise?
Well, college-wise, down here you got UT, you got Texas A&M, Rice, Baylor. Those are like the big ones.
About Rice.
Yeah. But I mean, like UH is literally downtown Houston. That's getting bigger, and then you've obviously got like Mary Hardin, Baylor, SMU.
Is the Final Four at the Houston? Where in Houston is that? Do you actually know? Is that the Rocket? Is it the Rocket Toyota Center? Where's it at?
I think it's at Toyota Center.
Okay. That'd be fun to get to. Next year they'll have the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 in San Francisco. So I was talking about maybe trying to get to one of those games next year. So that's cool. You got Houston over there with it. So you got Texas there, Chris. You got Texas as well, or do you think Miami has a little magic in them?
So I'm going to throw a wrinkle in here. I'm picking Creighton, and then you're going to have the 3rd place team and the 4th place team in the Big East in the Final Four. And then I'm going to go with Miami because I don't want any team to have a home court advantage and have a complete open-ended tournament where anybody can win it.
I like that. All right, Zabe, let's get your pick here. Who do you like? You like Texas, or do you like Miami, the Miami Hurricanes, to pull this out? Remember, I'm writing this down. This is homework. Who you got? You gotta tell the people, not me.
Miami.
You got Miami. I like it. All right, going a little different here than the rest of us. So that means we're in trouble if we lose there in that regard. So let's go to the next game. We got our next one pick here. We got Creighton. We got San Diego State. Who we going there with, Case? To me, that's kind of an interesting matchup with it. Who do you like to pull that one out?
Well, like I was saying, Creighton. I think they're just a better team. San Diego State, like Chris was saying, played a pretty tenacious game last one. I think they'll wear on them later in the in the second half, but I think it's gonna be a good game. Nothing like tonight, hopefully. But yeah, no, it was. I think Creighton's gonna pull it off.
What do you think there, Chris? I mean, Creighton has one of the best offenses in the tournament. It's pretty, and their defense is a lot better than it used to be. They have a coach that's kind of in that, I wouldn't say prime, but he feels like he's ready to kind of go to the next level there. The brackets really opened up for him. They got a really good chance. I feel like, they couldn't ask for a better chance for the way things have fallen to them this year out of any team in the whole entire tournament. So your thoughts on the game tomorrow? Who do you got winning?
I think Creighton pulls it out.
Yeah.
I think they're ready to – they've had some good wins this year, and I really like Doug McDermott. Of course, there's some personal stuff there too. Got to see him when he was coaching Ames High School in Ames, Iowa. Got to see his kid play with the Harrison kid that came from Ames that went to UNC. I got good feelings for Doug McDermott and what he's going to do with that program, and this is the next step for him.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Creighton's primed to do it. If they lose, this would be for San Diego State too, it'd be a big missed opportunity. It feels like the case. They've always come up short, obviously. Making to the Elite Eight to me feels like a big deal for them. Obviously beating through Alabama too. So a great opportunity. Susie, do I note you down before we go to the Aztecs of San Diego, going a little West Coast here? You going Creighton here?
So when I didn't follow sports at all and I was forced to watch, I would root for the team that had the prettiest / best uniforms. Give me their colors and tell me colors here.
All right. So the Aztecs are black and red. And then that would probably be there with I'm saying tomorrow, they'll be the low seats. They'll have white will be their primary color with black and red trim. And then you'll have Creighton. They'll be blue, solid blue with white trim is my guess tomorrow.
Oh, what shade of blue? Dark blue, light blue?
More of a dark blue, I would say. Kind of like the Blue Jays a little bit. That's actually their name. They are the Creighton Blue Jays.
All right. See, yeah, you had me at the blue. I was like, oh, if it's at like baby powder blue, like done. That would have been it.
No, it's not Charger blue.
Then I have to go with the black and red.
All right, we'll out here. Me and Casey will accept that here out of California too. We need anything we can get now with Gonzaga going down as well. Even though it's an 8.5 hour drive, that's that count case. That's still in state, I guess. So we'll go there with it. Who you got tomorrow? You got San Diego State or Creighton? Note it down for us here. San Diego State. That's what that a boy. We like that pick there. So Chris, we're getting closer, man. We got two tickets punch right now. We got UConn into the Final Four. We got Florida Atlantic. Definitely Florida Atlantic was not expected this year, Case. Congratulations on another crazy pick making it to the Final Four with you this year. Guys, any final thoughts here before we wrap it up? Chris, any thoughts here before we call it a night?
I'm going to go on a limb here and rep two conferences that don't get enough credit.
Let's hear it.
Conference USA. They got a team in the Final Four.
Yep.
In the NIT, they got two teams in the Final Four. Yep. That conference is a whole lot better than what people give them credit for. And the Big East, where you could possibly have two teams from the Big East that finish third and fourth in their league in the Final Four. That conference is absolutely better than what people gave them credit for. Tired of hearing the talk about the Big 12 runs things and the SEC runs things. Yes, I'm an SEC fan, but let's give credit where credit is due. Big East and Conference USA, they are elite in basketball.
I think it's simple as that case. The Big East, like I said, I think the Conference USA, they've proven it this year. I think Chris said it better than anybody else. You got any final thoughts there?
Just what a tournament it's been, man. Just coming down nitty gritty here, and been some crazy upsets and a deep run by FAU, and then got the usual, just not your usual typical teams in here with Miami and Texas and Creighton and San Diego State. So it's different, but it's a good different. So it's been a fun ride. I love hoops. It's my favorite sport to watch, favorite to play. And man, I just love the effort they give. It's a lot different than watching an NBA game. It's just you get one crack at this, and every game it's a win or go home. So I just love it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Susie, guys, thanks for I appreciate you joining me, Susie. Thank you for jumping on. Appreciate it. You guys got a show going on tomorrow at all?
We don't. We're actually having our first meet and greet type thing for our 2 shows. So we will not be doing an actual show. We'll just be hanging out with our listeners.
Everybody doesn't know obviously we're doing the show here on VSN Collegiate. Susie usually is on VSN Baseball. They do a really good job with the Astros baseball show. Casey, you'll be jealous of this. They had Dallas Braden on their show a few weeks back, and it was a great show. You guys did a good job with him. Obviously, being an A's fan out here, we're very familiar with him. So she does a really good job with Shelby there. So thanks again for jumping on here with it, Chris. You guys got anything coming up here on your for your show here?
We will be live on the Golden Broom. We do that on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we'll be doing that Tuesday night at 7:30, I believe, this week. And I'll be doing a review on Monday night on Second to None for the NCAA tournament as well.
And I know, Case, might be jumping on with me tomorrow morning on Fat Boy Fadeaway. We're probably going to be doing this again tomorrow. Well, we got 4 days in a row here. We're going to go for we're the 4-game series here, Susie. 4-game series. We're going for the 4 games. We got to do this every day this week. Stay consistent with it. We only got a few tournaments left there, so look for us there on Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports Podcast. Xavier, where can we find you out there? Nothing. As well as it says, Casey, Chris, Susie, with that epic ending there. Ready? Peace. Later. Bye.